Oh, hello everybody, this is the new tutorial. Today we're going to work on something actually quite interesting. It's an easy tutorial, it's a short tutorial. It's basically a geolocated visualization of the coronavirus, taking data from Johns Hopkins University to visualize how the virus is basically spreading around the world. So as you can see here, if I hover through the map, for example, I can see China has like around like 81,000 cases, more than 3,000 deaths, and basically this is automatically colored according to a gradient. Here, for example, you see the US and so on and so forth. This tutorial uses JavaScript. I am not an expert in JavaScript, but I can do simple stuff like this. I just wanted to show you how to do it in case you're interested in doing it. I will recommend, if you're gonna learn more about JavaScript, go to screenba.com. They have like a lot of tutorials about JavaScript, interactive ones that are actually really good. This is probably like my favorite place to learn about different coding languages. They have these free tutorials about what is a variable in JavaScript, what is a string in JavaScript. I don't know. They have like for loops, for example, what is a promise, what is a while loop, a function in JavaScript, what's new in ES6. The best part of it is that if you go into one tutorial, for example, you can, these are interactive, so basically you can code while you do the tutorial. So actually this is the reason why I wanted to show you this short tutorial on visualization, but also to show you that there are resources beyond like YouTube where you can learn in a more interactive way. So let's start our tutorial. I will recommend for this tutorial downloading like a code editor. I use almost all the time Visual Studio Code. If you go to, if you Google Visual Studio Code, you will go to the main website, is code.visualstudio.com. You can download for Mac, Windows, or Linux. And you can basically use it for coding pretty much like any language that you want. This is the interface of Visual Studio Code. The way it works is that basically you open a folder that will contain your files, and you create new files with the extension of the language that you're coding. So in this case, I'm just going to open one folder here. I have it, it's an empty folder. If I find it, that would be better actually. Let me do a new one. COVID-19. It's just a new folder that you will create, and you will open it, and this will contain your project. So here, I will close this welcome screen. You will see many things. Here you can, I don't know, install extensions for Visual Studio Code. You can debug your code. You can initialize a repository, a Git repository, and search things and basically manage your files. This tutorial is based on basically it's like heavily based on this repo. We're going to do exactly the same, but just getting rid of like things like titles and things like that. This is a very nice code that I adapted slightly to basically visualize the coronavirus. So first thing first, we're going to start with the structure of our project. We will create one folder. If you go here to this icon, that is a folder at the plus, we'll create one directory, one folder that is called JS. We'll create one that is called, I was not supposed to do that. Let me remove it. Let's create another one that is called CSS, and that's pretty much it. We will start by creating our first file, that is the HTML file. So if we click here, HTML, and here we will start. Probably you will see also like some messages about, okay, do you want to install extensions? You want to say yes, because it will make your life easier. So the first thing first, this is basically a tutorial that I will try to go fast. We will create first the HTML. So not S. We'll start creating the structure of our website. How to create a website? Basically, you can find like a simple HTML. You can find reference like everywhere. The first thing that we're going to do is define what do we need to start our visualization. So here I will write head, and I will start first doing some basically specifying the links of the things that we're going to use. For this, we will use actually Google Charts API, where you can find also like a lot of examples. We will use this, which is a very simple API to use. You can do like graphs of every type. We're using the GeoChart, and as you can see, it's doing exactly what I showed you at the beginning of this video. It creates an axis, and here, for example, it shows you like the sample code to do exactly this. So it's like actually pretty straightforward the way you will produce this. So first thing first, we're gonna do link href. We'll create a reference to. I will copy paste this address. Well, and style sheet. So with this, we are telling our project that okay, you will use Google Charts. Okay. Now we want to use a CSS file. I will show you. Basically, CSS file. If you Google it, you will find like a lot of information. So basically, this cascading style sheet that will be useful to configure in another file in a better way how your website is going to look. So we will prepare that now. So we will first say that actually, let's create a file first. We'll go to the CSS folder. We'll create a new file. We'll call this COVID config.css. And here we will start configuring our file. For now, we just have the file. We won't do anything with it. We will code it in 1 second. We'll go back to our HTML and we will say like link href sorry. Rel, we will see here style it href, and here we will reference that file. So you can see here when we open the quotes, it shows you the path where you have the CSS file. So that's pretty good. And now we're going to do some like stuff like, for example, setting like the character coding, the name of who is coding this, like whatever. Let's say this is author serious MIT. The description, this is COVID visualization, and some keywords in case someone looks for content like this. The next thing is, now actually we want to load the chart with the map. Actually, this is for the fonts that we're using. Sorry, I made a mistake. And here we are going to basically call the file. For example, if we open this will direct you to a JavaScript, huge JavaScript file that basically will allow you to draw the map. The next thing that we're going to do, we're going to reference the JavaScript that will contain basically the code for our website. In order to do that, we'll do the same thing we did with the CSS file. We're going to create a new one, and we'll call it like demo.js. When we do this, immediately Visual Studio Code knows that this is a JavaScript file. We're not going to do anything with it yet. We're going to reference this here. Script. We're going to define the type. Let's say that this is text JavaScript, and the source, just like we did before, we'll select JavaScript demo, and that's it. So now every time that we start our basically we call our HTML file, it will take the code from this file. So what we have here, actually I have this duplicated. What we have here is like pretty much like standard things. You need to remember, for example, here is where your main code goes. Actually, I will put this here, comment this. So yeah, you can do pretty much like everything here. Now what we are going to do is we're going to define the body of our website, and here we are going to define basically like the regions where are we going to put our content. So for that we can do div, we're going to set an ID because we're going to reference this in our CSS file. Regions, for example, div, we're going to set a class for it. We're going to say that this is COVID config main, for example. I'm not very good with the naming part, but that's okay. And we're gonna also do something like get another class that is called COVID config model, the ID, of course, to reference in the CSS file, the COVID config model. that should be it for this HTML file. We're going to test it in a second. Now we are going to basically work in the CSS file. Let's see how that works. So we go to our CSS file, and we need to start first setting parameters like what are we going to use for fonts, for example. So here we're gonna use this pretty much standard thing like WebKit, font smoothing. I'm gonna say that the fonts will be anti-alias. Anti-alias. This is basically to see like smooth fonts. Actually, this is WebKit. Yeah. The color for our fonts. Let's say this is an RGB. Here, see, it shows you the colors. We're gonna say RGB, let's say 51, 51, or 51, 50, 50. Basically, it's a gray color. We can set the font family. Font family, because we're using, remember, the Google font. So here we can say, let's use this one, sans serif. You can find like multiple configurations. These are the ones that I'm using. So don't forget to set the semicolon at the end of each line. Font size, for example, let's say 11 pixels. Font stretch, you see that as soon as you're doing this, you'll see like all this autocomplete feature. Let's say optimize legibility. Okay, that's good. Now let's configure the body of our website. So this will be the margin will be equal to 0 margin, and the overflow in this case, this hidden. This is also kind of like super default hidden default configuration and simple configuration for websites. Now we will configure, for example, if remember the let's configure the first thing that we said here, the main configuration of our file for our project. We can write like that. Basically, this is the class config main, and here we'll say like the background color. Background color of our visualization could be like an RGB, for example. Let's do like, I don't know, something like 90, like a light gray. The box sizing, let's say this is a border box. If you read, for example, like the description, it gives you a description. So we will use like this border box. The height, we will do basically we will do a calculation here. We'll calculate 100% of the height minus 60 pixels to leave like a small margin on the height. You can say like whatever, like, I mean, you can play with these parameters to see how it looks. I'm not trying to extend this tutorial much longer. We won't have like a spacing on the left. We'll say that the position is absolute, and the overflow here is auto. Top 60 pixels, again, like really, and the width will be 100%. Try to use all the screen. That's the config made. Now let's config the rest of this. Actually, thinking about it, we will try to keep it simple. I will get rid of this. We'll just configure the body and the main class that will set the background of our visualization and things like that. The next thing, and actually the last thing that we will configure, is just the visualization tooltip. So as I was showing before, when you hover on top of a country, you will see this message box, and that will configure. Yeah, I will try to, as I was saying, try to keep it simple. Let's do that. Let's say leave that Google visualization tooltip. We can do pretty much the same. Okay, the background, sorry, not background attachment, background color. You can say that this is an RGB, and here we can say just a white background color. If you hover on top of the RGB values, you can set the color with this color picker. That is actually really cool. Let's set a border color equals to, let's say, like this gray. Border left, let's put border to the left. We'll say that this is 16 pixels, solid, and the color gets a, let's say, no, like a little bit darker. Let's say this color right here. So basically this is oops, where did my visualization go? I lost my visualization for some reason. Okay, here you see this, the tooltip, basically the border of this message here is like dark. Basically that's what we're configuring now. I mean, you can add it or not, it's up to you. I think it looks cool, and it's basically the way it was done in the reference project that we are using to do this. You can add a shadow if you want, but basically we'll say now the height for this would be 90 pixels. We can set the opacity 0.9, basically 90%. You can do it more transparent if you want. You can play with these values. 80% opaque. Text transform will do uppercase, and the width of this would be let's set it to 180 pixels. That should be it for our CSS file. But let's modify the the HTML. Let's remove the model because I wanted to add another like menus and stuff, but this is okay. This is more than enough. Now we're ready with this. Let's start doing our demo. And also, in order to visualize what we're doing, we need to set a server. For that, we're just going to write something like real simple, but first you need to install Python 3 in your computer. There are many ways to do it. I will explain next. So the JavaScript code is actually like pretty simple. We will start first loading the geochart package, and for that we will do google.charts load. Say this is current, and here we will do, I don't like the JavaScript syntax at all. I think it's like super complicated, but it is what it is. So let's say here, go to packages, and from packages give me the, if I'm correct, geochart. Yeah, I think that's correct. And for this is something that you need to get a API key from Google to Maps API key actually to make this work. So in order to do that, you need to go to follow the instructions. It's like really simple. If you have a Google account, probably most of you do. You can go to developers.google.com and get basically an API key. It shows you step by step how to do it. For this video, what I'm doing, I'm using one key that is my key, and this will be completely removed as after I upload this video, because basically this is related to my Google account, so this will be no longer valid after I finish this tutorial. So basically you need to, this is like some sort of like password, so you can communicate with Google to actually use their tools. And yeah, with this basically we will do that. And now we will visualize the map, the chart. And for that we just do a simple like google.charts set on load callback. And here we just say draw regions. I'm sorry about my typos. It's just like my MacBook Pro keyboard is like so bad. So now we need to define this function. That is basically it will draw the map. So let's do that. We'll go here and say that this is a function. draw regions map. And for that, we will first set a variable that it will be the data that we are going to use. We'll write this in a minute. We'll say that Google visualization that array to data table. Actually, let's do something first. Let's write the let's do first like the data part that is actually okay. Then we can debug if this draw the map or not. So first we're going to create an array, fetch data, and this will be equal to, and here we'll say the structure of the data that we're going to use. I will show you. We'll use another repository. Just give me 1 second. Here you have the data file. This is a file that is being updated 3 times per day, and it gives you the information. It's a JSON file, and it gives you the by country. Like you see that each line contains the information about the country, the name of the country, the cases per country, the cases today, the deaths, the total deaths, the recovered people, the active cases, the critical patients, cases per 1 million. Basically, this is information that is being updated. So it's cool. I mean, if you want to play with this data, this is actually quite cool to keep yourself informed. So we will use this. So we're going to Google Charts. I think they only accept like 3 columns of data, so you can create like different maps. I will let that up to you. We will just get the data about let's say we will retrieve the information about the country, let's say confirmed, and also that's and we'll set like the format for this data. First, this is like some sort of like placeholder 0 0. This will initialize that array. Good. And then we will fetch the data. So for that we will use this the address that I just gave you. We'll say like then response that JSON. Then we'll say like then function data, and here we will do through a series of loop. We will retrieve the information. Let me see how's the best way to do this. So here what you want to do is like fetch data that push. And here we will say that data that country will be basically will equals to will be equals like we'll say this is the structure. We'll do the same with data per country. Let's go here. With this, we're reading first the by country. Give me the cases, the that. So this is why we're doing this. We're reading that JSON file. Give me the cases, for example, and do the same here. Copy this line and give me, let's be more positive, not give me the number of casualties, give me the recovered people, for example. If you want, like, if you watch the JSON file, you can get like many of the like total like deaths, or like today cases, or today's death, or things like that. So actually we can do, this is total cases and today cases. So let's do that. Today cases. And close this. Oh, I'm missing one square bracket. Let's see, always like brackets are tricky. Oh, yes, I was missing one initial square bracket. And actually, if you want to visualize the data that you're inserting here, you can do like console.log. I will show you what this means. As soon as we start our project, and it will show you the data that you're using. I think with this we are okay. Oh yes, of course, like this is why I really not a big fan of JavaScript, but it's okay because of all these parentheses and things like that. So let me check the parentheses if everything's okay. Function data. We have that's okay. Let's give here an error. Yeah, you just need to like format your code because yeah, it's different. This is why some people like Python a lot, because it's like cleaner in terms of like parentheses. So always try to, if you open like a regular parentheses, check that you're closing also that parentheses or curly brackets or square brackets. Here, this prints in the web console the data on the JSON file. Okay. And now let's set the function that actually draw this. So this is where we stop writing this function, because basically we need the data, right? And now we have that. Fetch data. We will set the options for drawing this. Basically, when you have a map, you need to set the options, and we will say that the options for this, you write them like this. We'll say that first, color axis. This is like the legend of your map. I'm going to say that this is equal to, we open bracket, colors, and we will go from a range what can we do here? Can set an RGB. I don't know, let's do, actually you can, yeah, like sky blue, for example. The middle color will be a yellow, and then you can finish with, let's say, a red. This might work, yeah. First you need to specify like the color axis of the legend. Then you can say the background color of this thing. We'll say that this is transparent. Third option, so probably, I mean, it happened to me before when I was preparing this, you will have some countries that don't have any data. These are the most known, like you have like, I don't know, from Armenia, Algeria, Andorra, Morocco, but probably some countries they don't have any data, so you need to provide a color in case you don't have that data. And again, this is for coronavirus, but if you find like information like this in any JSON file about like population, or I don't know, like I don't know, yeah, like populations of countries or things like that, you can use like the same format. This is the way you basically parse a JSON file, and you can draw it into a map. Or I don't know, like mayonnaise consumption, or mustard, or hot dogs, or whatever you want. Basically, you can use this template to visualize like any data like this, and it will be kind of useful. Again, so the option is like data less region color, not with a space. Let's set this to a nice dark gray. These are like hex codes. For colors, I would recommend, for example, if you go to, there's a nice website that's called Peloton, the color scheme designer. You will find like many colors, and not only that, but you can find the information about the the codes, like the hexadecimal code and things like that. Or you can basically the information of all the colors that you're choosing. Like it gives you also like suggestions about like complementary colors or things like that. So you can use this to actually visualize or get like codes for the colors that you're using. Or you can go just to Photoshop or any software, and it will give you also the information for it. So yeah, this is a dark gray type of color. The default color we can do, so let's see, actually let me show you that. Let me open Photoshop very quickly. This is a long tutorial. I'm trying to keep it under like 50 minutes, 1 hour, because I don't want to do like 3 videos. So I have Photoshop here, many pictures of course. Let's do a custom file, and close this. When you pick a color, you can find information. So for example here, if I want, let's say, this color, you will find the code for this color here that you can use. If you wanna, let's say, this color, let's say our legend for our map probably will go to green, so we want to use this, actually 05FDA8 as a color instead of the light sky blue. We will use that. Have a yellow, and let's say we want like a red like this. We can use this code for it here. Default color, let's use F5, 5, sorry, F5, F5, F5. And here we need to say that also. Remember the tooltip, the message that we visualize when we hover on top of the region that we want to know the information. We will say that this is HTML true. And now, next thing we want to create the variable that will contain the chart, and we will say now we will create it. Google that visualization that geo chart, and the argument is document that get element by ID. And here we'll say that this is the regions divider. And here we will draw the chart actually. We created the chart here, and here we will draw it as data and with the options that we set here. So basically this will create according to the data that we have and the options here. It will create the map. Let's see if this works. So after checking some typos, basically you wanna remember like options, for example, or close your parentheses and check that each of the lines end with a semicolon. You can start or you can visualize your website. How will you do that? So if you want to host this on a website, on a server, you can do it. But in order to actually debug or make changes, that is what we're going to do now, you want to start a server. So for that you need to install Python 3. Python 2.7 is no longer supported. Basically no more support is given after December 31st, 2019. So you want to install it. I will recommend if you download and install packages like Anaconda. Anaconda actually will install like a lot of requirements that you will need for coding. So Anaconda is this navigator that will allow you also to, and I will cover this in another tutorial when we will do some stuff with Python environments. So you can install dependencies or requirement without messing up with your system. So you will create something that are called environments, and you can set, for example, okay, which version of Python do I want to install? By default, it will install Python 3. So if you install Anaconda Navigator, Anaconda, you will have the necessary things to start this tutorial. So, so when you have it in your system, Python install, you wanna write in a terminal. If you don't know what a terminal is, basically this is like the console, the command console from your system. On Mac and Windows, for example, if you're inside Visual Studio Code, you can go to Terminal, New Terminal, and this will start this console. And you see here, what it's saying here is that this is my username, and this is we are inside this folder. So if it goes cd like that, this will go one folder before, and here I am inside the folder. So if I do like ls, for example, it will show me that there is a folder that is called CSS, the index, and the JS. If I enter JS, it shows me that there is a file here that is called demo.js. So here I can see the content of that file. But we want to be in the main and the root directory of our file, and we will write the this line, Python 3 -m HTTP server. This will start like a local server, and here when I press enter, it says that serving HTTP on 0.0.0.0 port 8000, and this is an address that if you click on it, it will direct you to your code. So, or you can go to, let's say, your browser and write 0.0.0 colon 8000, and voila, we have, again I lost it, here it is. This will show you what we just programmed. So you see, it has the maps, it has the access, and it has the tooltip that is showing you the information. For some reason, it's not showing me the US or the UK, so let me see what's the deal with that. But okay, what is interesting here is that it's showing you that most of the countries with like less than 5,000 cases are like green, that awful color that I picked, that I will change immediately. You can see that it's giving you the updated information because we're getting this from a database that is being updated. It's showing you in, of course, like red, China, because it has like a lot of cases. Italy is also really bad. Spain, Iran, and Germany. And the US, we will fix that. So let's see how I can fix first the terrible color that I'm using. So I will split my screen here so we can see changes in real time. Probably will throw like some errors, don't mind about that, like the API key and stuff. But the good thing is that, remember, we had the console.log. Here you're getting all the information, so that is actually quite cool. This shows that it's working. See, it's giving you like over 100 countries, 193 countries with information. So this is working. So first, let's change that terrible color. Let's say this is a light gray instead. So if we save this and if we reload our map, interactively we are changing our map, and it's looking actually pretty good. Now let's fix the US part. Probably what we need to do, yes, so we don't extend this even longer, let's do one thing. Let's do for the US and the UK like a manual thing. If let's say data country equals to USA, let's do just like manually for both countries, because I had that problem before. I don't know what's the deal. So let's say, let's copy this line here. It should let me we'll copy paste this line, but we are going to do it manually. So we're going to say US cases. We're saying actually we don't want the deaths, we want the recovered. Yes, that's what we want. And we will do for the UK the else if statement. Basically, it will say if the name of the country that we're getting is USA, it will do this. It will push the data in this format. And also, if else if, let's do the same. Oop, not there. Let's copy this instead. Is UK, let's say this is United Kingdom. Cases, I'm saying here recovered. That should do it. Yeah, basically because this what happens is that I think in the Google Chart API, you call it by US or United Kingdom, not USA or UK. So you need to do it separately. Probably it happens also with other countries. This is why we don't have data for them. So let's see if this is working. Not yet. Okay, let me restart the server. It's giving me probably an error. You want to check if you have an error, you can press like Command Option and J on Mac. You will see this. It's giving me an error here. Let me. Still not getting anything, so let me check the code. If data country equals USA, fetch data, then push. Of course, I'm doing something wrong here. We're not supposed to do this. So this is just US data country recover. Yeah, I was doing something. I was not supposed to copy this. It's just the name of the country, just in case I could restart the server. And there we go. Our map looks better now. So yeah, what I was doing, I was trying to again call like a key that was not present. So basically you just need to input, in this case, the United Kingdom and the US name, and it will work. Again, why did we do this? It's because in the Google Chart map, in order to actually push the data to that region, Google doesn't know what USA is, the Google API, but you need to provide the name manually. So probably that's also why other countries don't have any information. So for example, in many African countries here, we'll try to improve it, but for now, I mean, the basic functionality of what I was trying to say, it works. This is again showing me that of course, recovered. Let's see if also, yeah, you need to basically be consistent with the data that you're getting from your file. Yeah, so it's giving me accurate numbers. Yeah, so for example, Chile, my home country, they have like 746 cases. Pretty bad. It's increasing like really fast, and we have 8 recovered people. If you want to change other things, so for example, active cases, you just need to go to your code and change this to active, and here active, and restart this, and active cases, for example, in the US, in Peru, in Brazil, Algeria, Saudi Arabia, and China. It's crazy that in China they have like only 5,000 cases. I hope this data is like, actually that's pretty good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Consider this as a template to work with any other type of code. Again, if you want to get into JavaScript, there are many resources. Screenba is, in my opinion, the best one. Sorry if this was a little bit messy, but if you follow the instructions of this code, I will leave you also a link to the files so you can do it on your own. You just need to remember that you just need to create a maps API key here in order to work. So that's what I will do here. Enter your own API key here, because the one that I just used will no longer be valid. Thank you very much.